Good afternoon to everyone. My work, which has been made up thanks to the collaboration of the engineers Antonietta Perrone and Giovanni Poggialini, is about the re-engineering of processes of a block operation inside the Policlinico Federico II of Naples on a quality path and thanks to the instruments of operations management. In fact, the operations of management has two principal fields of application, the logistic of goods and the logistic of patients. In this work, the focus is on the logistic of patients. Okay. Because patients are subject to delays, long waiting time lists, are positioned in unfitting welfare setting. There are unpredictable working conditions, staff is under stress, and they can make mistakes. So to improve this condition and create value for the patient, the idea is to base this project on the guideline Union ISO 1901-2015, which promotes the adoption of a process approach in order to increase customer satisfaction through the effective application system. And this guideline is based on the diamond cycles, which has 4 phases. The first one, the definition of processes and goal. The applied of these processes, the phase of check, and the last one, the phase of act, where we can take an activity to the improvement. Of course, before define processes and goals, it's important to have a clear situation of the reality, in this case of the patient flow of this operation block. So the first step of this project see the analysis of the patient flow with the record of events. An event is the time in which a punctual activity starts. And so I divided the patient flow in 8 events. The entrance in operation block, the entrance of patient in operation room, the lead in of anesthesia, the first cut, last suture, the end of anesthesia, exit from operation room and the exit from the operation block, and the clinic up room. Thanks to these events, it's been calculated the interval time to calculate the performance indicators. These times are the surgical time, the difference between the last suture and the first cut, the allotted time given by the difference between the time in which a patient exits from the operation room and the time in which the patients enter in the room, and the start time tardiness, the tardiness of start of scheduled case. To understand the performance of this operation room, we analyze these 3 performance indicators, which are taken from the relevant literature in this field, and they are the start surgical time given by the ratio between the start surgical time and the number of days in which I stayed in the operation room, 20 days, and the result is a delay from the first cut of 112 minutes. The efficiency indicators given by the ratio between the surgical time and allotted time with results of 65%, and the excess staffing cost. This indicator allows us to understand if the staff inside the operation rooms are over or underpaid and is under or over utilization. In this case, the rooms are under utilization, and so the staff is more paid than he produced, and these indicators is given by the ratio of this time and allotted time, and the result is 27%. Every indicator has a threshold value, and thanks to this threshold value, we can see that this operation block isn't very performing. In fact, he had a score of 1 point, while a good operations management in an operating block has to be a scoring between 4 or 6 points. So we define the critical issues. which are the management of surgery lists, the equipment of operating room, inappropriate use of a prep room, the absence of a recovery room, and the absence of a waiting room. Defining these issues, we can start with the first phase of the diamond cycle, the definition of goals. The first one is the implementation of IT system. In fact, when I record the data, I record on a paper. There isn't a computer or something. The coordination of surgery list, dedicated surgical kits, the recovery room activation, and the waiting room activation. About the technology, we suggest the use of a barcode laser scanner capable of reading barcodes that identify the patient's medical records, and the records collected on a database, and the use of a management software. Fortunately, Policlinico Federico II of Naples has got a system, the SOWEB system, but he hasn't run a right capability yet. With this system, the surgeon can schedule all the surgeries, and so then they will create the dedicated kits for every surgery. Besides, there are three tabs, one for the nurse, one for the surgeon, and one for the anesthesiologist. And they not also can record all the information about the surgeries, but they can record also all the events that I have defined before. And so this is very important to the monitoring phases, because the data can be related from this system. Another important goal is about the spaces. Now, the operation block has 4 rooms with 4 prep rooms and filter area, with the absence of a recovery room and waiting room. Besides, the prep room aren't used for pre-anesthesiologic activities, because they are used like storage areas. In fact, we will find some medical device, and so there isn't a space for the patient. But if we acquired the near area, we can see that, we can have a recovery room, the waiting room, and the two rooms at the bottom area can be used like storage areas, and so the prep room can be used for pre-anesthesiologic activities, and so we could have the parallel activity and increase the efficiency of this operations room. Of course, all these changes have a cost, and they are estimated around 26,000–27,000 euros. But thanks to the indicator of surgical productivity, which indicates the per minute gain of the rooms for intervention carried out, we can demonstrate that the hospital, after the first month of this change, with an improvement of 30%, can earn around 26,000 euros. After this change, there will be the phase of monitoring and the phase of ACT, and this project is still in phase of implementation, but there are further developments. The application of the project to all operation block of the Policlinico Federico II, the implementation of the second field, the logistic of goods, and the introduction of operations management office into service of a clinic engineer. Thank you.